Ladies and gentlemen, as you might know, the month of October is Small Business Month here on King Island. There's lots happening, lots of events. It might be worthwhile if you're in business or even interested to come and have a look and visit some of these workshops. We do have one coming up on Monday at 4:30 at the King Island Hotel, and that's organized with Brand Tasmania. And the workshop is called Brand Storytelling. Now, I can tell you a story, but I don't know. I'd rather, but much better off to ask the person that knows everything about it, who's the CEO of Brand Tasmania, and his name is Todd Babiak. Todd, welcome.
Thanks, Wade. Happy to talk to you.
Yep, tell us a little bit about Brand Tasmania for those who don't know.
Well, Brand Tasmania is an organization that works on the Tasmanian brand, which really is how do we unify trade, tourism, talent attraction, investment attraction, student attraction, all using, I suppose, community action in a bottom-up way. So we do a lot of research to understand how King Islanders and Tasmanians feel about the successful options that we have here, what makes this place different and special and unique, why we're all here. And then we look at our customers in other places. How do they feel about us? How can we give them what they want, and bring more value to everything Tasmanian, everything King Island? And King Island is a big part of the Tasmanian brand. And so I've been always happy to come and always happy to incorporate King Island and King Islandness in Tasmanianness.
Is it a little bit then like, by the sound of it, sounds a bit like you're putting a mirror in front of Tasmanians and you sort of tell them, look in the mirror and how to look in their own mirror?
I suppose the usual way to do this actually is you get an advertising agency from somewhere else to tell you who you are. And I think it works much better if you think about what's our product. It's our culture. It's who we are. It's the decisions we've made to be in this special place. It's what would break our hearts if we had to leave. So if you begin like that, we've done now 650 one-on-one interviews with Tasmanians, including King Islanders, just to try to ask, what is it? What is so special? What are you most proud of? What would break your heart if you had to leave? What are examples of what feels like can only happen here? And we use all of that data, and it's emotional and it's narrative, of course. This is about storytelling. But then how do you package that up to say, okay, this is what makes this place really special? We try to squeeze it down into, all right, what's an easy way to tell this story? And the line, the quiet pursuit of the extraordinary, is one way to tell the story of this place, every element of it. But then we thought one of the best ways to do this work is to go out to work with businesses, to work with individuals, to work with leaders, to work with citizens, to help them tell their own stories in a positive way about why they're on King Island, why they've chosen King Island, and then to wrap that in the larger Tasmanian opportunity or the larger King Island opportunity. So you have both. Not to tell everyone, here are the words you must say, but just to understand, this is what people are looking from us. And there are some principles of narrative that you can use to build your own brand and your own strategy.
Isn't it always or often, Todd, that when you live somewhere, that you almost need somebody else to open your eyes to see where you are at and where you are in, and you almost need a wake-up call? Isn't it like we're so used to what we have?
That's right. You take it for granted. You walk past what's special almost every day, and you forget to see it and appreciate it. And so one of the things we try to do in our research with people is to say, okay, let's pretend you don't live here. What is most special? And do imagine you had to leave. What would you miss? And so we do try to get at that. And we also use ABS data to try to get a pure cross section. So we do speak to people who've just arrived to get that really special glow about, yeah, I never expected this, or I had this idea about King Island or about Tasmania, and then when I got here, it changed, or it's not what I thought, or it's exactly what I thought. And we sort of begin as well with the understanding that, Tasmania is not for everyone, and that's okay. No place is. Who are the people who really belong here, and who are the people we should really do business with because they want to be in this space with us. And so that's why we do try to take a pretty almost clinical strategic approach to who is our customer, who is our audience, who are our people, and what is the emotional and then eventually business reason for doing this with us.
Is it because of King Island being an island, of course, surrounded by water? Is it therefore an easy place to create the brand King Island?
Islands are much easier. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this work, actually. If you are just working, you're from Holland, a suburb of a mid-sized city that feels like the suburb of many other mid-sized cities, when people are just there for work or they could afford a house, those are harder projects for sure to say, here's what makes us special. King Island, the specialness is everywhere and in everything and in the history of the place. And the same with Tasmania more broadly. There is a filter mechanism because no matter what, when we decide to live on King Island, we're making a pretty important personal decision. The kinds of people who would choose to live on King Island or even broader in Tasmania, they're pretty special. You're adventurers. You're okay not being in a big city. You like the idea of a very close community. You're willing to do 5 or 7 jobs just to make a go of it. You want to work together at your best, and you're really proud almost immediately of what King Island and what Tasmania means. So we do try to take advantage, as you say, of that islandness, so that the Tasmanian brand, the King Island brand, we're using all of that power that we have just sitting there.
Is King Island different within Tasmania? Would you say it's slightly different than, say, the Northwest Coast or down at Hobart or the Huon Valley?
Everyone warned me when I first arrived here. I knew nothing of this place. When I first arrived in Tasmania, and they said, oh, it's going to be so different between Launceston and Hobart. And Burnie and Devonport, it's completely different. And then the West Coast, and then Flinders Island is so different. And King Island is so different from that. And everyone warned me, and I was actually worried, thinking, oh my gosh, maybe there is nothing. But interestingly, when you speak to people, the way they tell the King Island story, it's really just a distilled version of what people say more broadly in Tasmania. It's the Tasmanian brand, only more so. So it's more, it's quieter. You have to work even harder, and you have to be more creative with grit and determination and invention, and then it's even more special. So the elements of Tasmania are just even more refined in King Island, and in many ways, King Island is the place we look to in so many ways because really King Island Dairy in the 1990s started the move, along with Tasmanian whiskey, toward the premiumization of our economy and our products and people and place. So King Island is a place we look to all the time to say it all really started on King Island and in Hobart with whiskey, with cheese, and then now we see so many things. We could list it forever. All of those things that we do and make here in Tasmania to get that higher price because we don't really do well in the commodity world in Tasmania because of that extra cost of distribution.
Now, without giving it away, of course, because we like to see people coming to your workshop on Monday at 4:30 at the King Island Hotel. But tell us a little bit what is the whole idea about brand storytelling?
Well, when we have a relationship with a business, yes, it's about price occasionally, and it's them giving us what we need. But our long-term relationships, if you think about the kinds of brands that you have a long-term relationship with, it's almost always an emotional relationship. It's about trust. It's about something long-term. It's about feelings. And we do that as human beings most powerfully through storytelling. It's just the most natural, most obvious, instinctive way to communicate. And too often in business school, we don't learn much about it. We focus on mission, vision, values, and a tagline and that sort of thing when the really important bits are all about storytelling. So that's what it's going to be. It's going to be let's just get a start into how we tell great brand stories, how we can tell our own, and then how can we tell the King Island story and the Tasmanian story around that. And then we were really hoping to do a couple of interviews with some King Islanders who are quite good at this and quite skilled at it, just to give everyone a couple of hours that I would hope would be a bit inspiring and give them something to think about. We have all kinds of tools to help. So just to make sure everyone who's playing, especially in this premium space, ways to tell our story really powerfully to the people we need to convert again and again.
So, who's the workshop for? What kind of people? Who do you invite? You say you should come to this workshop.
Anyone who has a business, if you have any relationship with customers, definitely come. Maybe if you're thinking about your own leadership story, you can do that as well. Maybe you have ambitions to be a leader in whether it's media or politics or farming, whatever that might be. If you have these ambitions, you can use the principles of narrative to do that. And then if you're a King Islander who has this real feeling of pride for King Island, and you're thinking about how do I tell that story? What are the words I use? How do I express that? That's another reason to come.
Todd Babiak, we thank you very much for your time and we'll see you on Monday.
I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to get there. Thanks, Wade.